of economy in Egypt in the coming future. And we're very delighted to shed a comprehensive look over this mega project, and in particular the wheat harvest season. We're very delighted to have with us Dr. Hussein Shoreiba, the economic analyst, and Dr. Ibrahim Ghazawy, professor of international law. Good evening, gentlemen. And let me start off by you, Dr. Ghazawy. How do you think that project is going to provide a new reshaping of the countryside and the start of getting Egyptians out of only a very little part that is the New Valley on the map, and scatter them all over Egypt while also making use of the natural resources?
Well, let me start with the congratulations to those who were behind this great achievement that we have seen this morning. The armed forces of Egypt, engineering administration, project administration in Egypt, and our armed forces, they have gone far indeed, and we have seen this in the morning today. They have gone far into the road to achieve hopes and aspirations to many millions in Egypt. They opened a way. They opened a way for hope and opened a way for productive vision for the future. What I have seen this morning was really inspiring, and I was so proud to follow it second by second, by the way. And I don't remember that I have done this with anything else in the last years. Honestly, it was so inspiring. And while I was witnessing, it was just going through or before my eyes, just a picture, imagining how many individuals, how many young men and women will benefit from this, how many community will be based on this in the near future. And all of this together coming at a time which is very critical in Egypt and in the Middle East region as a whole. So the idea is not only that we have today an open window for real and significant hope for our future, but we are building in a time where most of the countries around us are really in great dilemma and suffering from partial or total collapse. So we talk about today a country that is being restructured again. We talk about agriculture. Egypt has been historically agricultural community for thousands of years. And because of the absent vision of our points of strength in the last 50 or 60 years probably, we have lost the agricultural advantage of our entity, the agricultural background of our economy. And thus we have lost much big part of our strength, because we are not anymore agricultural community, and we did not substitute agriculture with any other skills or rich sources for our economy. So we didn't move to be industrial, we didn't move to be commercial or whatever. Today was an open way for us, actually the hope. What was very good and impressive is that was not a start, it was the harvest process that really drew my attention. It means simply that those people have been in hard work for months and months, even without being noticed by anybody else. We didn't know about that. They have been working in silence, in full silence, but in full determination also. And within very short time, just a couple of months, they managed to fix 10,000 acres and harvest them or plant them with wheat, and then now today they start harvesting them. And we all have seen these huge machines, harvesters, the mechanic harvesting process that was going in a very vigorous and active way. You know, collecting the stalks of wheat and turning it into the wheat itself and the other parts, you know, in a process that have taken me to what I have seen in the United States and other European countries who have this massive farms, this very large farms that usually use 100% mechanical tools for planting and harvesting. In total, I have seen a hope today being in full shape for Egypt as a community, for Egypt as youth sector, and for Egypt also as official state, you know. But we have to thank the armed forces because they were really impressive, disciplined.
A solid cornerstone is being formed for the coming future, which is the armed forces.
Yeah, it's a message that we can do it.
Let me take it from you to Dr. Shoreiba. There is an important element that could be set in this particular mega project, which is a foundation that could be a jump start for economic development, which is rationalizing the food imports. That, of course, is exhausting the foreign currency. If we, at the same time, increase the food export, that is going to provide more foreign currency, and this is going to affect some economic prosperity. If you like to, as an economic analyst, you'd like to shed light on this very important element and that particular project of the wheat harvest, first stage of the project.
As Dr. Ghazawy have mentioned before, that Egypt was an agriculture land. Mainly, their economy is depending on this. And I will not go far away. I'll just go to 1805, when Muhammad Ali started building the new Egypt, the modern Egypt. When he took over, the size of the agricultural land in Egypt was 2.7 million acre. When he died, it was 4.1 million acre. And this is to show you how this person, with a very limited time, with a primitive tools, with a country was occupied by the Turks and their descendants, a big country, and not only as an Egypt one, but in the zone itself, the territory itself, even informing the Turk, you better shut up and be quiet because your army, the Egyptian army, with Ibrahim Pasha was there. And they tried to get secure from Russia and Austria, but they didn't succeed. And this is history talking about this. So I think the President Sisi, when he made this or thought of this, he have created one important issue, which is creating hope, the new hope for generations, the new generations. Because if you want to destroy a family, ignore mother's way of doing things for its people. When you want to ignore the people themselves, ignore education. You want to kill the hope, always bring disasters, always show disasters. So today we are going into the hope of how can we improve the mother, how can we improve education, and the important part, which this project is, the importance of there is a great hope over there, and you have to work for it, and you're going to go for this. Why is this very important? Because all the Egyptians are always talking about the price of the dollar have gone up. Why? Because you are always depending on others. You're not depending on yourself. You have to get satisfied of all your food production in your local market as maximum as you can. You are importing more than 70% of your needs. Up. So imagine 70% of the wealth you have, or you produce, or coming from the Suez Canal, or coming from anywhere, is going out of Egypt. That's a very simple thing. When you do this, you are reducing this 70% gradually until it comes to the minimum. And that's saving money for the future plans of Egypt. That's the number one important thing. The second important thing, when you do this on a wide scale, which is 1.5 million acre, you're going to add them within the coming 10 years. I want you to imagine one thing. How much of food production are coming out, hygienic things, from these lands and going to go and export it outside of Egypt. What type of wealth are coming this? So the foreign currency will be coming and supporting your Egyptian pounds. And the price of the dollar will drop down. So it's a two-way benefit from both sides, from the inner part as well as the outer part. When you come to the inner part, you will find that the non-employment is going down. Why? Because you are not creating jobs. You are creating a real value future
invigorating the labor force.
Yes.
We're going to touch on the labor force later on in the program, but let's focus on the 1.5 million finance mega project that is being given the go-ahead by the head of state, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Associated to that very important mega project is a bunch or a bouquet of other field projects, like, for example, housing, drainage, petrochemical, electricity fronts, labor, invigorating the labor force, many other, roads, a chain of roads and tunnels like the ones that are affected in Sinai. So there is also that bouquet of, or a network of other mega projects that are going to be associated with that mega projects. So if you would like to shed some light on that.
Yes, we have to admit that what Egypt going through today is a very well diversified and elaborate process of reshaping and reforming our infrastructure again. We have to remember that in the last 30 years probably, the infrastructure of Egypt has been always, untouchable, more or less. And all the efforts that have been forwarded to change the harsh reality of infrastructure in Egypt has been always short of fulfilling what Egypt really needed. Today, what is very impressive is that the current government, with the president on top of it, they have this long vision, this long-term vision, which is really honest from them, because probably may other presidents say, okay, I will just do today what will satisfy the people today, and I will not look forward to the future. What he does today, and talking about roads, talking about factories, talking about fish plants or farms, talking about development of Sinai. You talk about future projects by nature. You talk about, as Dr. Shoreiba said, it's for the generations to come. And that's really very noble and impressive, and also will open the way for us today to look with full hope to our future. So when we talk about the problems that we have been suffering for long decades, we talk about the decreasing amount of agricultural land, because a lot of people were building on agricultural land. As Mr. Shoreiba,
informal settlements, for example.
Exactly. We talk about the Egypt as the largest wheat importer in the world, which is very negative for us. Most of our hard currency go for importing wheat. So when you do this, and when you create new projects, these mega projects, and when you finish, reforming 1.5 million acres, you talk about the possibility, the sure likelihood that within probably 3 or 4 years, you might diminish the value imported from outside to less than 10 or 8% of what we do today. That means simply that you can save at least 80% of the hard currency that you today pay for foreign countries, as Mr. Shoreiba said, to get you what you eat, what you need on daily basis. So today we look into this very big network, the long network of roads, the network of canals, agricultural projects, the mega projects about fish plants, the mega projects about doubling electricity production process. You talk about projects by nature that you can call easily national projects. National projects mean simply that its effect will cover the whole nation, its positive effect will benefit all the Egyptians, and its positive effect will not be only for for today or tomorrow, but for the coming centuries. You talk about recreating another Egypt. As Mr. Shoreiba said, when Muhammad Ali doubled the agricultural land, he did that with very limited resources and very primitive means. Today we talk about the availability of technology. We talk about the readiness of our strong army with its different tools, that we can say easily today that they really are very able to do that. And we talk about many other resources in Egypt that still so far are not used. We talk about the land of Egypt that is mostly unoccupied and still unused. We talk about more than 90% of Egypt agriculture,
full of very rich resources.
Exactly.
But let me take it to Dr. Shoreiba and talk about the former attempts that were taken by, in the past. And in particular at the time of President Mubarak, similar attempts to make the best exploitation of the desert areas, and in particular the Toshka project. That didn't meet much luck. And there were reasons, of course. We're not going to get into the details, but we need to find out similarities or differences in the sense of that particular project we're currently talking about came out so strong, so different, so fulfilling in the sense of, timing, in the sense of results, instant results, the targets, and the planning also. So how do you read that?
Well, Toshka it was like a one-man show. The other one